This session, we're going to get into the specific aspects of AI in the context of BI, right? We talked about, and we also saw in 6.0, the kind of cool things, be it natural language generation, be it natural language querying, all those capabilities. But then there are certain aspects to it that we need to get into in detail, right? It's not just going to work out of the box. There are certain things that we as administrators here and business people have to understand how to make the system drive you towards those insights. So, quick one, just the evolution of BI. This is a general introduction slide. So 1.0 was all about people who wanted insights. They had to interact with their IT team and developers, and that basically gave people like me work back in the days to write reports and charts and integrate with data and so on and so forth. So that was 1.0. Then came the Tableau wave, and the way you started doing analytics was using self-service capabilities such as drag and drop interfaces and get to insights and so on and so forth. And also the way you also integrate the data, created model, everything was kind of abstracted away from the user. You didn't have to write code. UI allowed you to do all these things, and you got to those insights. Finally, the third one is all about better decision making. It's about the infusion of AI contextually into each of these layers, be it data preparation, data management, analytics, and so on. And how do we do that? And what's Zoho doing in detail? So today, we see that there are certain stats that I have to kind of read out here. One is 2.5 times higher than today than in 2017. And then Gen AI has been very extensively used. 1 in 3 users today that we serve, according to the survey by McKinsey, are using Gen AI in some shape and form as a part of their work. 40% of organizations will increase their investment in AI. So obviously, the train has left the station. This is going to be a big part of just about every application that you see. It's just not BI. Be it CRM, be it help desk and ticketing. AI is going to be pervasive across all these business applications. And that's why you see so much. We are even talking about AI agents that can create custom CRM. People are even at some point going to leave CRM, and then you're probably looking at a phase where AI, the pace at which it's going, there are probably going to be people or companies that are going to basically have prompts, create agents that will basically create CRM for their particular vertical. You could be in healthcare, you could be in any specific vertical, right? And then these AI systems are going to code CRMs for you. That's where it's going to go 3 years from now, 5 years from now, perhaps. But that's fair. There's going to be AI just about in everything that Zoho is doing. And then there's going to be companies that are going to be investing in AI on platforms like Llama, Whisper, and so on, where they're going to be creating their own software using AI. So when it comes to the key areas where AI is being adopted in BI, the first one is around data analysis and exploration. This is Ask Zia, where you're interacting with a system using natural language, trying to get to the insights that you need and doing the analysis that you need for your organization. The second one is advanced analytics. Now, this is where the stuff that the machine learning integration that we talked about is going to be critical, right? Because all along, until about 4 or 5 years ago, data preparation and data management was done separately. Analytics was done separately. And even machine learning is typically done as different systems. And about 5 years ago, 2018, 2019, there was a trend when all these BI vendors started understanding that data management and data preparation is one of the first things that you would do in any case as far as analytics goes. So they started building those capabilities as a part of the analytics tool. And Zoho was one among them. That's where the Zoho Data Prep project actually started, and we made Zoho Data Prep available. It's available as a standalone service. It's also integrated in line with your analytics workforce, your workload. Then you probably have seen, some of you have probably used a forecasting capability in Zoho Analytics. Maybe you have used a trend line analysis where there are certain machine learning libraries that are integrated that can be applied on time series data that you have. But that doesn't really cut it because it's prepackaged set of libraries trained on a specific set of data that is being used. Now, with the machine learning component becoming a part of the platform, what's important is you are enhancing those capabilities. You can bring in your own machine learning libraries. If you have a machine learning team, they can actually create those machine learning models where the data is. In this case, it's Zoho Analyst. You bring in all the data here. You can train the data on the data, train the models on the data set that you have. You can either import your model or you can create your model using the Code Studio. So that's where you're going to see a lot more capabilities that are being built into. All analytics providers will go into this kind of convergence mode where they're going to have just about everything around data is going to be done in a single platform. So that's kind of the holy grail, because otherwise everything is disjoint. Your machine learning, your data scientists are working over a different set of data, different set of data points, different set of systems, and so on. Why? So there's going to be a convergence, and that's what we are betting on, and that's what's going to happen is our bet. Then the third one is data preparation and transformation. So we saw some of the capabilities. We already have some of those capabilities, and you'll see in the presentation here where how we're using, so data prep is using AI in the context of data management and data cleansing. Finally, data storytelling. You'll also see what that is all about. So the two things that I want to highlight here in this session. One is the inbuilt capabilities, or the capabilities that Zoho Analytics has built homegrown. These are homegrown capabilities that have been put into the product. And then the kind of integration that we have done with OpenAI that allows us to open up more possibilities and infusing AI contextually in all of these workloads. First one, you've seen this already many times. You've seen this in French, you've seen this in Spanish. But what's important here is the training aspect that I want to talk about. Obviously, when you bring in data from different data sets, you're going to have data from your sales modules, support modules, marketing modules, finance modules, and so on. And just about how people interact with the system within the organization is different. For example, your finance team may call a customer a client. Your marketing team may call them users. Your sales team may call them customers. But all of them are referring to the same entity, so to speak. The finance team calls them clients, the sales team calls them customers, the marketing team calls them users. So what's critical is you have to create this semantic layer over the actual data set that you have. Most systems are closed, but when we started building Zia, we felt that this is a very common problem that we see in a lot of these analytics projects, but people call the same thing different names. So what we did was we opened up the Ask Zia system so that you can actually create that semantic layer and you can give it weightage. Not just that, if you do not want some of the tables and data to be even presented to Ask Zia, you can stop them from being presented. That way you're controlling access, and then you figure out what's working within your organization and then roll it out. If you just go in today and enable Ask Zia, Monday morning, you guys are going to have fun. I can promise you that. I mean, you're going to have like 79,865 dashboards and reports created from nowhere because people have started asking questions. So there has to be a method to this madness, and that's where we believe the ability to control your destiny within the platform, because this is just about your enterprise data that you're opening up to everybody. So there has to be some guardrails. As a part of the guardrail, you use this system here, the machine learning system capabilities, where we allow you to train it, and then you go step by step. So you create those mappings, the semantic layer as we call it, and then you can do it for different languages. Obviously, we support French, Spanish, and English. So that's the idea. So I just wanted to highlight that particular aspect of what does it mean to roll out something like Ask Zia in your organization. So these are some of the guardrails that you have to do. And there's also something that you will have to do to make it effective. Otherwise, it's just going to be the Tower of Babel, as they call it. When it comes to Zia Insights, now this is all about the summarization. This is, again, a Gen AI capability. This is homegrown. We built this much before the whole OpenAI and ChatGPT trend kind of set the world ablaze. The idea here is this is an interesting graph in itself. It tells you, kind of gives you a good organization of data. What's your sales number by different states in the continental US? But again, if you want to figure out, hey, what are the top 3 states here that are contributing to my revenue? What's the overall revenue of US from this map? You literally have to put a paper and pen together to get to those stats or those insights. This is what Zia Insights helps you to narrate, and it basically gives me all those things without you having to put a paper and pen together. It bubbles up those insights and helps you to get to insights faster. And the holy grail is faster. The one who gets to insights faster is going to get to actions faster. It's all about actions and how fast can you get to actions. So when it comes to advanced analytics models, you see we already support forecasting. Who has used forecasting in Zoho Analytics or any of these capabilities? Yeah. Have you gone deeper than just using the ones that are coming out of the box, or do you go in, like, for example, here, let's say you have a data set and you know this is a non-stationary data set and you have to apply ETS over ARIMA. Do you guys get into those kind of capabilities? You do. See, obviously, so these are some pre-packaged libraries that we have. We give you the ability to do some configurations on top of it. But again, this is limiting. If you're a larger organization, or if you're in an organization where you have a lot of data and you have different techniques that you apply on the data sets to analyze, and you need different machine learning libraries, that's where the 6.0 capability, the Code Studio, is going to allow you to expand it beyond what we do. I think quite a lot of people would have used this. Auto analysis, anyone? So, I don't know. It's kind of buried in the product. I think it should have probably been bubbled up a little bit more. So when you bring in any data set into Zoho, and if you don't know where to start, a great place to start is just go and do auto analysis. Just provide the work, log into your workspace, click on create. You have the auto analysis, a menu item, click on it. It looks at the data set that you have holistically and creates a report and charts and creates even dashboards out of the box. You don't have to do nothing. Again, is everything going to be great? Some may be interesting, some may be just junk, but the idea is you can get started quickly rather than trying to understand what all those tables are, what columns should I use. Instead, if you get a leg up and get going faster, that's the idea with auto analysis. Now, when it comes to data management, I talked about AI in the context of data management. Now, here, you're going to see a quick example. This is, again, something that's available today. So this is the data from an e-commerce system that have all the items that I've sold. And what's happening here is I'm looking at the brand name tables of the products that I've sold, and you can see that there is an inconsistency in the way things have been spelled out. For example, Samsung, it's all over the place. Tartek is another product that I sell, but the data entry is obviously having a lot of issues. So using the cluster and merge function, you can then fix all this in one shot. And then idea is, again, it uses the Metaflow algorithm. If it's a different set of data, you can use different algorithms to cleanse that data. So that's the idea about cluster and merge. These are functions that we support today. Sentiment analysis, obviously. This is, again, a data set that I have from an e-commerce system. I have all the comments that have been, or the reviews of the products that I have on my e-commerce store. It's great to have these reviews, but they're not conducive for analysis. I'm not going to read all of these and figure out what's going on. Instead, I have to make it conducive to analysis. That's where I apply the sentiment analysis algorithm on top of this reviews, and it gives you a new column that tells you the sentiment that is associated with this review. And with that, when you take this into analytics, you can say, hey, show me the top 5 products that have the worst sentiment. You now have the report in front of you, and then you know what to do next. Another thing that we now have is language identification. Obviously, if you're running an e-commerce store, you're going to get comments in all different languages, reviews in all different languages. So here, we now have the ability to look at a data set and identify the language associated with the text, and then you take it to the next step and do the kind of analysis that you need. So far, some of the capabilities, all of these capabilities are pieces, or these are things that we have done internally at Zoho. Now, integrating with OpenAI, we have added a lot more power to the system. First one is formula generation. Instead of you having to create the formulas, you can go to Ask Zia, and then Ask Zia knows whether it has the skill to do this particular entry in the prompt. If it does not, it goes to OpenAI. And in this case, it's actually going to OpenAI and help you to create the formula. So I was trying to zoom out so that you guys could see this better. But the idea is it's trying to get a formula to compute the difference between the order date and the sale date. So now a new formula is going to be created, and this becomes a column on which you can start doing your analysis on. So you can create formulas using the ChatGPT integration. Query creation, you saw this earlier in Silas's session as well. So here, the idea is if someone wants help with creating the queries, either maybe there are power users who want to kind of get to queries quicker, they can use this. And if you have business users who have data analysis within their remit and they're interested in creating these queries, instead of them having to learn SQL, they can just use this integration that helps them to create these queries faster. Now, Transformer example, an interesting addition to the capabilities where I'm looking at a date column here, which has a certain structure. It has a month, day, and year format. And I'm telling the system that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I want you to use this column and create a new column that has the name of the month, right? So instead of you having to write the regular expression or you having to try to figure out how to do it, because of the fact that you have given it an output, it understands that the previous column is a date column with a certain format, and it figures out the name of the name of the month that is to be associated with it, and it automatically creates that new column. So transform by example is going to help you to even cut down the asks that a system may have for you to understand regular expressions and do string replacements and so on. This one again is going to be powered by ChatGPT. You can bring in new data set for analysis. For example, here I have all the sales data from my CRM system. I do not know the sales tax rates in all the states of the US. So when I basically go in and ask Zia and say, get me the statewide state taxes for US, it brings in this table. I can add this into my workspace, and then I can now go and create a query table that can now give me the total order value with the sales tax rates, right? So this is where the contextual integration is important, and then you can find or discover new data sets that's going to add more value to the data points that you have. All right, guys, thank you very much.